At the start of the movie, a woman named Carol heads out to the streets for a walk, but notices something very unusual. People seem to have become soulless, as there is not a fragment of emotion on anyone's face. The place is turned into a dead town. To make matters worse, those showing emotions are apprehended by the police. An elderly woman keeps saying, "Don't sleep." But even she is captured by the police. After walking for a while, a normal-looking cop approaches Carol and notices that she is sweating. Hence, he warns her to run away, or else she will be caught and killed. It appears as if showing emotions or sleeping will cause death. Following this, the movie cuts to a few days ago. A space shuttle explodes on Earth's surface and scatters across many states in the US. Every media outlet in the country is covering the news, as they believe that it is the sign of an alien invasion. On the other hand, the people are terrified, and they hesitate to touch the debris, fearing that it has been infected. Meanwhile, the head of the Center of Disease Control, Tucker Kaufman, arrives at one of the crash sites for inspection. He approaches the research team and gets to know that the piece of debris was laced with a mysterious organism that has the ability to withstand enormous levels of radiation. The organism can also multiply at a rapid rate, implying that it is from another planet. Later, while Tucker is preparing to leave, he unknowingly touches a small piece of the debris and receives a cut on his finger. However, he doesn't think much of it, which, given that he's the head of the CDC, is ridiculous, and proceeds towards his home. That night, Tucker starts sweating profusely and experiences an intense cellular condensation on his face, as if something has taken over him. In the next scene, we are introduced to Tucker's ex-wife, Carol. She is a psychiatrist by profession who lives with their only son, Oliver. That night, Oliver has a nightmare and starts screaming, but his mother immediately springs into action and calms him down. The following morning, Carol gets a call from Tucker, who expresses his desire to see his son, but as expected, she simply says no and hangs up the call. Shortly after, she drops Oliver off at school and proceeds to her workplace. On the way, she runs into her best friend, Dr. Ben Driscoll, and takes a lift. Driscoll mentions that the government is hiding something serious from them, as all the researchers on the crash site have resigned. However, Carol is in no mood to chat about this topic, and instead complains about her ex-husband. She tells Driscoll that Tucker has been acting very strange as of late, and he suddenly wants to see their son, despite being away for the past 4 years. As the two friends continue their conversation, they arrive outside Carol's office and part ways. Later, Carol starts her counseling session for the day. Her first patient is a middle-aged woman named Wendy, who reveals that her husband has been acting very weird as of late. Just a few days ago, he killed their family dog without any remorse. Carol instantly realizes that something is wrong, but for the time being, she just prescribes a few medications to her patient. "Have some Xanax. That'll stop your husband from killing things." After finishing work, Carol and her neighbor Pam take their children out trick-or-treating, as it is Halloween night. When they approach a house, the family dog starts barking profusely, as if it has sensed something. Wendy's husband must be nearby. Carol and her gang proceed to leave, but just then, the dog lunges towards Pam's son, Andy, and tackles him to the ground. Surprisingly, despite the terrifying situation, the little boy doesn't even flinch. Instead, he squeezes the dog's mouth with his bare hands until help arrives and separates the two. Shortly after, the group reaches Carol's home, where the mothers have a brief chat. Pam reveals that Andy has been acting very strange for some days, and sometimes she thinks that he has lost his emotions. However, Carol, being a psychiatrist, assures her that it is very normal for kids his age. Suddenly, Oliver starts screaming from another room, and when Carol reaches there, she finds a strange piece of flesh coming out of his hand. Worried, she immediately takes it to Driscoll's lab, where his friend and popular scientist, Dr. Galliano, starts his experiments. In the meantime, a mysterious virus has started to decimate the country. Thousands of people are dying every day, but no one knows the cause of it. As a result, an emergency meeting is held in the capital, where all the prominent researchers are present. Tucker Kaufman, who has been tasked with headlining the meeting, explains that the new virus is spreading at an unprecedented rate, and if they don't do anything about it, the country will go into a recession. When some researchers ask about the solution, Tucker says that the only way to stem the spread is by conducting an inoculation program. As the meeting goes on, several infected waiters inside the kitchen are seen puking into the tea that is going to be served to everyone. Ew. Later that night, Carol reluctantly decides to let Tucker spend the weekend with Oliver, as he is the father, after all. While she is driving to his house, a terrified lady suddenly appears, asking for help. She keeps mentioning that something terrible is about to happen, but before she can reveal the cause, a car runs her over. Shortly after, the cops arrive at the scene. Carol asserts that she's ready to testify against the reckless driver, but the head cop simply tells her to go home. Hearing this, Carol starts assuming that something really bad is happening in the city. After a while, she drops Oliver at Tucker's place and leaves. That same night, Carol and Driscoll attend a lavish party, where they engage in a short conversation with Czech diplomat Dr. Belichick and his wife Ludmila. The two then meet other diplomats, including Dr. Urish, and talk about the dark side of human nature. After the party, Driscoll tries to kiss Carol in the car, but the latter backs off, saying that she doesn't want to ruin their friendship. She also doesn't want that alien sociopath disease. The next morning, while Carol is heading to work, she notices something very strange. Several people have completely frozen, as if their soul has been taken away. When she reaches the office, she is taken aback to find that all of her clients have canceled their appointments for the day. Just then, she receives a call from Driscoll, informing her that the test results of the strange skin patch have come out. In the next scene, Carol reaches the lab, where Dr. Galliano is waiting for her. He reveals that the skin sample is made up of several molecular spores that take over the human brain during sleep and alter the genetic code, rendering